Good afternoon, VC music community. People who are supposed to be at work but are goofing off watching YouTube looking for something to watch about vinyl. Today I'm just gonna, everybody's showing this record in the last few days, and I just literally got it like 2 days ago. I found it. So today I'm just gonna, this is just a video entry for Eric Weinbender's soundtrack contest he's got going on. Actually, this is what we're listening to right now. It's kind of quiet. If you like classical music, you should find this. It's a good record. It's got some good music in it. So he just wanted us to see soundtracks that we have. I don't really have a theme going with these soundtracks other than they're all off of movies that I like, and they all have good music on. So I'm just gonna go through. I got a little bit of everything. I got some vinyl, I got CDs, and I got a tape or two floating around here. So let's just get into it. I mean, soundtracks. I mean, it's the best way to get a wide array of music that's enjoyable to listen to. It's got some of the better, especially the current movies. They usually pick some of the best songs from up-and-coming artists on there. So I mean, a lot of mine in the 90s were that's how I explored bands, with or hearing their songs on movies, and then you get the soundtrack, and then if you get into them, then you end up going to buy the album. So but this is a pretty cool one. I found this the other day. It was in a dollar bin. Actually, it was like 50 cents. It was half off. So 2001 Space Odyssey. I know several people have showed it here lately, but it's really good. I mean, this is a really good album. I just watched the movie here a couple months ago, and it's just one of those movies. It's a great movie if you're like up late, can't sleep, but you just want to watch something that doesn't have a bunch going on, because you might fall back asleep. There's a whole lot of talking in that movie, a lot of floating around. Takes a long time to get from one place to the other place in that ship when you're floating. So 2001 Space Odyssey, that's the first one I'm going to show. I love it. Now, while we're on that space theme, I'm just going to go right into my other space related one. Of course, my own personal, absolutely trashed and destroyed. You can't even hardly see what the cover is anymore. Dun, 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 dun. The Empire Strikes Back Star Wars. This was my personal record way back when it came out. And I think I have like half of the book left, and it's still in there. It's not attached, and this record is pretty beat up, because I did not take care of it very well, as most kids don't. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you watched my intro video, I just happened to find the records and the sleeve and got them back together after about 30 years being separated, and the records were rolling around in a box and the sleeve was in another one. So Empire Strikes Back, any of the Star Wars soundtracks are really good. So you get that in its protective sleeve so it doesn't get it worse than ever. All right, so oh wow, you can't really have a soundtrack without a couple albums, and unfortunately one of them I cannot find. It's in the pile of record insanity somewhere, and I don't know where it is. I just was listening to it the other day, but this is one of them. So I can't find it. I'm not going to mention, I can't show it, but I can mention it. It has to do with Kevin Bacon in a town that he couldn't dance in. So, but I can't find it, so I won't show it. It's here somewhere. So then we got the other one I think that everyone thinks of when you think of music soundtracks, especially from like the 80s. That was in the 80s, yeah, 83, which would be Flashdance. Now this one, unfortunately, is all munched up, but hey, who cares? The record's good. Remember that? Flashdance. Oof, that's a good movie. Have you ever seen Farley's dancing on Saturday Night Live? Chris Farley. It's pretty funny. Flashdance, man, that's a great album too. All right, a couple good songs on there. And then of course, why not? Since everyone's got to have some John Travolta, some Grease, Olivia Newton-John in it. Why not? That's another good one. I listened to this just the other day, just for the heck of it. You know, I never really did care for when it came out, but I don't know, it's just kind of corny. But I like the music. It's really, really good. Grease. Now, I'm just gonna show people that know me know I collect records and stuff. So sometimes they'll just give me things, and most of the time they're not very good. But my dad ran across a cool soundtrack that he grabbed and said, "Oh, you'll like this." And I have to say, I like the record, and I like the presentation of it. The soundtrack sucks, which I kind of imagine, since I've never heard of this movie, the movie did too. But it's actually pretty cool. It's like, let me show you the record, okay? It is a huge gatefold, and on this side, let's see if I can do it without dumping. Got a motorcycle cop on there. This is the soundtrack from the movie Electra Glide in Blue. I've never heard of this movie. Originally, when he gave me this and I saw the motorcycle cops on there, and I was thinking of the Dirty Harry movie. I think it's The Enforcer, where the cops were out shooting people that they, whatever. But I mean, this is pretty cool. Look at the inner sleeve on there. It's all motorcycle related. But I put this soundtrack, I mean, it's bad. I mean, there's like talking in on the, it's just like, and the music is not very good. When did this movie come out? I think it was like, it had to have been, just some of the clips I watched on YouTube, it was probably, I don't know, late 70s, mid 70s. So the record, I probably wouldn't even, I would get rid of it. Except for, this is a pretty cool presentation. So, I mean, it's got the really nice gatefold, but inside, it's got some really cool posters in it. So let me see if I can get this. I might actually have to go watch this movie. It's really flimsy. Is Jack Nicholson in this movie? Sure looks like him. Crazy, look at. Let's see. What was I looking for? Oh, where's the? Okay, here it is. So anyway, so it's got this booklet with movie scenes and stuff in it, which is kind of cool. But this is the really cool part. So it's got two big posters in it. And I'm a motorcycle guy, not necessarily a Harley Davidson guy, but I like motorcycles. And look at this poster. And that's like, the writing on there is the specs for the motorcycle. Nothing about the movie or anything, it's just a... I might have to hang that up somewhere. So it's got that poster, and then look at this poster. Man, this thing, I don't know if I can get this thing out without it getting destroyed, but let's give it a try. I don't know if I got enough room here. Let's see. Look at this thing. I don't know. It is like a huge panoramic. This must be in the... Let's see if I can get all the way. This thing's got to be like 5 feet wide. Somewhere out in the desert. Motorcycle scene. A guy sitting up on a plateau somewhere, which would be something that me and my buddies do. You just go out every year, ride around for about a week or so, and then we take pictures like that. You know, it's a lot of fun. So, anyway, really, the soundtrack itself is pretty lame, which I gather probably. I've never heard of the movie, so I imagine the movie's lame too. But I looked at a couple clips online, and I was like, your typical 70s movie that, yeah, you know. All right, you know, I actually like a lot of I just grabbed a handful of ones I thought would be interesting, but a lot of soundtracks I get, I just like, not so much for you know, popular bands and songs, but just music. I like country, and I like just epic cinematic movies. And this one has actually got a lot of good songs on it. I don't. I'm trying to remember. I know I've seen this movie several times. It's got Lee Marvin, Clint Eastwood, Gene Seberg. Paint Your Wagon. I love that cover art on this. I have several different versions of this. I have one that's a big gatefold and has a whole book and stuff that goes with it. But that's another good one. I really like that soundtrack. It's got some good music on it. One more record, and we'll go into some of the others. You know, there's no soundtrack that, to me, if I at least I don't know for the for guys watching, you probably when you see, oh, there's a soundtrack on that movie, you gotta grab it for no other reason than the one song on it that everyone knows. And this isn't technically the soundtrack, but it's the same people who played the song on the soundtrack. And what they did is they took that and a couple other songs they played on the soundtrack and made a whole album with other stuff on it. And that is Eric Weisberg and Steve Mandel. If you don't know who they are, they're the people who were doing the picking on dueling banjos on the movie Deliverance. If you like picking, particularly like, you know, in the flavor of that song, this is an awesome album. It's all picking on here, and they got all different kinds of songs. You know, Little Maggie, Shuckin' the Corn, Pony Express, Old Joe Clark, 8 More Miles to Louisville. This is non-stop guitar picking, banjo, and it's not all banjo in it, but it's really good. Definitely worth getting. But I saw this and, oh man, I definitely have to get that. So, Dueling Banjos, Deliverance. Squeal like a pig. I bet you there's a lot of people who've never even seen that movie that know a lot of the stuff. Anyway, so that's it for the vinyl. I got some CDs to show, because actually most of the, I shouldn't say most. Most of my album, like vinyl soundtracks, are like classical music and you know, stuff like that. 2001: Space Odyssey. I don't remember where that song was at during there. No, the whole thing's like classical, so if you like it, it'd be a good record to get. So I got some CDs now. I've showed just this is where actually I picked up in the late 80s, 90s, even in early 2000s. Some of the best place to get some of the current popular music is on soundtracks. Plus they're good, you know, they were good movies, and they're just loaded with a lot of the good songs, so you don't have to buy the whole album. The Wedding Singer. You know, this has The Police, Smiths, Psychedelic Furs, Thompson Twins, Elvis Costello, Billy Idol, David Bowie, New Order. I mean, it's kind of a funny movie too. Here's another good one. This one's got another, this one, so much good music. I mean, the movie, don't really care, but it's more about the music on these. Reality Bites. This got the Knack, Mike Sharon in it. Julian Hatfield, Posies, Lisa Loeb, U2, Credit House, Lenny Kravitz, Dinosaur Jr. I got this one upside down. Let me just switch this around so I can read it. Train Spotting. That's actually a pretty good, odd movie, but it's still pretty good. Iggy Pop, Brian Eno, Primus, or Primal Scream, Sleeper, New Order, Blur, Lou Reed. That's got some pretty interesting music on it. It's also kind of a strange, good movie. So now, and then there's, when I got this soundtrack, it's because I couldn't find. I mean, some of these artists are hard to come by. You know, at the time that these were out in the 90s, you couldn't necessarily get the CDs everywhere, even though they were fairly common. I mean, where I lived, you know, I couldn't go into the any stores and get this. That was like until he got out to Seattle. Then it was like all over the place. And that was the music from Strange Days. The only reason I really wanted this was because it had some Lords of Acid on here. The rest of it's pretty good too, but that's primarily why I got that CD. If you don't have this, you probably should. It's one of the best ones out of, what is this? This was like 93, something like that. Early 90s. Empire Records. Man, this has everybody on it. That Gin Blossoms, Cranberry, Toad Wet Sprocket, Better Than Ezra, Cracker, Ape Hangers, the Meatsies, Ready Stay to Go, Lester, Coyote Shivers, Sugar High, Edwyn Collins, Girl Like You, the Martinis, Free, Please. It's a good movie too. It's a fun movie to watch. It's got some great music on it. Here's another one. The movie is actually really good too. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. You just know that Jack Black is gonna get killed when his part comes up in here. The Jackal. Fatboy Slim, Prodigy, Massive Attack, Primal Scream, Bush, Annie DeFranco. Annie DeFranco is one of my favorite artists. She's a different person outside of the music than, well, anyway. Moby, Charlatans UK, Chemical Brothers. This is really good. It's got some great music on it. So many good artists. I mean, that's the best way to explore artists, especially, you know, if, you know, on the movies. Get the soundtracks, and then you get a couple of their songs and buy the album. I'm gonna show this one. It's a movie. The soundtrack's not particularly good. It's got only a couple good songs on it, but the movie is like, you know, an iconic movie. It just makes me feel old when I realize how old it is, but that's The Breakfast Club. Simple Minds is about the only songs like it. Don't Forget About Me. And like I said, and most of the soundtracks I have, I get because I just want the music, like classical music, and you know, just easy to listen to music. Some of my favorite ones are the Dances with Wolves soundtrack. You know, John Barry. Another one would be Braveheart. I remember when I went and saw this movie when it came out. I mean, that's a long movie if you remember. Went to I think we were at down at Lake at the Ozarks for the weekend, and the movie theater there is just a real old one. It had the real uncomfortable seats in it, and you know, we got crammed in and we got the last 2 seats they had available, and that movie's like 3.5 hours long or whatever, and just sitting there like that. But it was a good movie, and it's a good soundtrack too. Mel Gibson's Braveheart. And then, of course, if you like, I like classical and particularly like cello and violin, solo type work, and you know, Master and Commander. Remember the scene in the movie where they were playing that? You know, good stuff on there. And you know, just a handful of ones I'm going to show. And then, of course, some of my favorite, what would be considered soundtracks, since I did have 2 movies. But I guess technically like an opera show wouldn't be a soundtrack, but this was on the screen too. And that was the Phantom of the Opera. I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber. You gotta have that. Both the earlier one and the later one with Gerard Butler, I believe is the one. That's a good movie. I prefer the earlier version with Sarah Brightman singing on it. Andrew Lloyd Webber's great. I mean, I like all his stuff. Speaking of Andrew Lloyd Webber, I got one more record to show. I picked this up. As far as soundtracks goes, it's not really great, and I didn't even realize that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote a lot of these, but the Odessa File. But if you've seen the movie, it's like kind of spy type, whatever. So it's like very oppressive, like march music and what, I don't know. It's not really one that you can just sit down and listen to. It's just kind of oppressive. But it's got, you know, a lot of the song, it was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Look at how young he looks there. Anyway, that's just a handful of soundtracks I showed. My record is out. No more 2001 Space Odyssey classical extravaganza. So that's it. My entry into Eric Weinbender's soundtrack contests. I forgot one. Who doesn't have? They all have this on cassette. And who doesn't have that? I mean, you can't talk soundtracks unless you talk that. There's only like 2 good songs on there. But it's the songs that everybody goes to. I'll just leave with that. So have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.